Joining us now with reaction is chairman of the American Conservative Union and author of the book, The Desecrators, Matt Schlapp. Matt, welcome back to National Report. What is your response
Thanks, Emma.
to President Biden's Soul of the Nation address last night?
Well, I was actually in Bedminster last night, and I listened to the speech on replay on the drive home, and I have to say I'm incredibly angry. America has always welcomed the stranger. We've always given respect to minority viewpoints. We've always given religious tolerance to people of minority religions. America was that place where you could come and live the life you wanted to lead as long as you followed some basic rules. We have a president of the United States who hates half of America, who wants to deprive them of their rights. He has people sitting in solitary confinement now for 2 years. He has people that the DOJ is persecuting by prosecution simply because of their political beliefs and their belief that we should follow the voter laws and voter ID. Now they're raiding the home of a former president, which we've never done before. Joe Biden is breaking all the norms. It's the first speech Joe Biden didn't plagiarize. We got to see what's in Joe Biden's heart, and it's hatred, and it's vile. And I have to say, for me and for my family and for my 5 girls, can we be safe in America when the President of the United States is trying to paint us as a domestic terrorist and as an extremist? What is the next step he will take to try to destroy MAGA Americans?
He went on to add that MAGA Republicans, in his words, embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. Matt, how would you describe a MAGA Republican?
Well, let me tell you how I would describe a MAGA Republican. I haven't worn this hat. I got this hat at CPAC. I'm going to wear it today because I believe that MAGA Republicans believe that you should come to this country legally, and we allow more people to come to our country legally than any other country on the face of the globe. If you want to see chaos, President Biden, go to that border disaster that you've created, which are now creating all the crime spikes and all the problems we're seeing with drugs for our young people across this country. Leading form of death now, fentanyl that's pouring through our southern border. Do you remember when we had jobs? Do you remember when our real wages were increasing instead of decreasing? Do you remember when we were building more small businesses instead of losing more small businesses? Do you remember when we gave a commitment overseas, we'd keep it? Do you remember when China feared us? Do you remember when Russia feared us? Do you remember when we gave our word by saying, if we're going to support NATO, you have to support NATO? You talk about not being chaos, it was orderly, it was working, we fixed problems. This president is an abomination, and his rhetoric almost killed a Supreme Court justice, and this rhetoric has to stop.
This speech, again, now almost 2 months ahead of the midterm elections, Matt, and I want to talk about strategy here. Seems like the president, his administration, they want to bring Donald Trump back into the headlines here, making this comparison, talking about threats to democracy, those MAGA Republicans. But when it comes from a Republican standpoint, if the goal is to win back the majorities in both the House and the Senate, how does Trumpism play into these campaign strategies?
Well, everything about last night was about Joe Biden saying that he's running for re-election, that he's big and he's strong. He broke every law imaginable. He had 2 Marine guards, which breaks the Hatch Act. By the way, my guess is both those Marines are pretty ultra-MAGA. He stood on federal property, Independence Hall, which once again breaks every norm, breaks laws. These are laws that the president broke last night. And so what he's doing is he has a rallying cry to Blue America. That's why he's doing this. They are so fearful of the big red wave that they are afraid they're going to lose congressional races in blue districts that he carried. And so this is a cry to at least not lose those districts. Look, they know they're going to lose the majority in the House of Representatives. They like the fact that their poll numbers have improved over the course of the last 2 weeks. They're trying to staunch the bleeding by making people like me the enemy. And that is un-American, and that is wrong. And I think the American people will reject this in overwhelming numbers. And I think he's actually going to feed the big red wave, and he thinks he's stopping it.
Matt Schlapp with this brand new hat on this Friday morning. Matt, thank you so much.
I'm going to wear it proudly.
You got it. Thanks for joining us.